Hello again, and welcome to another episode of Secrets Discovered. I'm your host, Manny Festo. On last week's episode, we discussed how banks have actually orchestrated most of the political division in America. This week, we'll be demystifying perhaps the most divisive issue of our time: immigration. Chances are you've already heard everything the left or the right has to say about the massive migration happening around the globe. However, similar to our political division, there's a lot more happening behind closed doors. Could powerful people in transnational corporations be working with the world's government for financial motives? First, we'll look at the numbers, and then we'll talk about the real reason we are seeing mass global migration. For years, conspiracy theorists wouldn't stop ranting about population control, saying that a mysterious global cabal was busy inventing new ways to cull the herd. Now, things have been flipped on their head. In first world countries, our populations are headed for a cliff. People stopped having kids. And why? Well, it's no secret, it's become financially impossible for many to even consider having children. Now, for some, they don't see the problem with this. Less people is better, right? But that's because you're thinking short term. You see, our entire safety net system, like Social Security and Medicare, depends on workers continuously paying into it. Without new babies to replace these workers, the system will run dry, leaving retirees either stranded or having to work until much older ages. In fact, this scary future isn't some far-off distant worry. The Social Security system as it stands will be insolvent by 2034. Their solution? Raise taxes and raise the retirement age. Some may say, why don't we raise taxes on the wealthy to pay for all of this? The problem is that even if you took every single dollar from people making over $1 million a year, you'd only fund the current government's budget for just 4.5 months. So the solution is immigration. It's pitched as an obvious one. Bring in more people from other, often much poorer countries so they can pay into our system and escape whatever conditions they're living in. If only it was that simple. In 2023, America took in 1 million legal immigrants. To simulate a replacement birth rate to keep our system chugging along, we would need to bring in double. That's 2 million per year. But even if we did that, we wouldn't see the reward immediately. According to a 2017 report by the National Academies of Science, first-generation immigrants are typically a net cost on our system, as in they pay less taxes than they receive in benefits in the long run. But their children are net contributors. But here's the rub. When immigrants come to our country, their birth rate often declines to match Americans within a generation. So second-generation immigrants will likely have the same amount of kids as other American families. That means within one generation, they're just like any other American family facing the same population collapse problem. Furthermore, the idea of fixing other countries' problems by taking in their citizens as our immigrants is even more of an illusion. Globally, third world countries have around 130 to 140 million babies per year. Even if Americans took in 2 million immigrants a year, that would be less than 0.0015% of global annual births. Simply put, you cannot solve global poverty with migration. The entire world's GDP is $105 trillion. If you divided this evenly among people on Earth, everyone would be making just $12,000 a year. That's $6 an hour. Here's another huge issue. Who is it that America and other first world countries let immigrate? Only the most successful, the kind of people that could possibly fix their own country if they made an effort. Doctors, lawyers, nurses, and other educated professionals, leaving behind the most poor and vulnerable who don't have the means to better their nation. But what if I told you that the people pushing these mass immigration policies are completely aware of all of this, and they have an ulterior motive? Over the last 100 years, the central bankers have extracted every drop of wealth they could while trying to maintain a balance to keep people from revolting. If these bankers stole too much money from the American people with their usury and lending schemes, we would eventually take up arms as our standard of living continued to drop. However, unable to satiate their greed, they found a solution: bring in people who will be okay with lower standards of living. Do you really think that these mega corporations and bankers care about the story and well-being of migrants? They are simply importing people who will be okay with the future substandard living conditions of America and Europe. They're creating a dystopian hell, which the ruling class lives in high-rises and gated neighborhoods, while working people live in groups of 10 inside a 2-bedroom apartment in abject poverty. This isn't just baseless conjecture. Large corporations openly abuse the H-1B programs where they hold workers' visas because 1, these workers will do the same job for much less money because they're okay with substandard living. And 2, they're also much less likely to unionize or even complain about their working conditions. Did you know that several studies have shown the more diverse a workplace is, the less likely they are to unionize or ask for better wages? The people in charge are using liberal ideas to disenfranchise workers. The migrants being brought here are not to blame. They came here envisioning an America that used to exist, one where opportunity was abundant and people had much better lives. Sadly, they're being used as pawns to the global elite. Like most things in American politics, it's all manufactured theater to make sure that we never address the root problems with our economic system. While the wealth gap grows more and more each day, politicians brag about the stock markets reaching all-time highs. There can be no solution but revolution.
Fresh baked bread, piled with extra lean, juicy ham. Oven roasted turkey breast, topped with the classic taste of...
Pardon me, would you have any Grey Poupon? But of course.
Introducing Subway's new Turkey and Ham Dijon. Turkey, ham, and the great taste of Grey Poupon mustard, now for a limited time on your choice of rolls. At Subway, the place where fresh is the taste.